I just realized I've been performing all my life, so I technically don't really know who I am. And I know that kind of seems loaded, but from the time you're born, you are basically given a birth order, right? And based on the kind of family you are born into, there are certain tasks and responsibilities that are put on you. And if you're underperforming, then you seem less than. And throughout our lives, we take on the role of a student or a certain profession or a different kind of friend, or in relationships, romantic relationships, there's certain expectations for you if you're a woman, if you're a man. And if you're underperforming, you seem less than. And I think for me, right now, I'm realizing that I have done everything that I believe I could to fill in these roles, and I still didn't feel adequate. I still didn't feel as though that I was myself. There was always something missing when it came to me being the person that people expected me to be. And now I'm in a space where it's just like, who am I now? I feels like my life right now is just full of self-discovery, and I'm just finding new meanings of life every single day. But genuinely, I think I'm just burnt out of playing different roles in my life. Like, as a theater kid, ever since high school, even before then, like elementary school, I was raised in the church. I was a person who was always in choir, in drama, in dance, all throughout my life. And I know what it means to play a role, and I know how to play a role really well. But there comes a time when you stop playing a role and you become yourself. You remain yourself, right? But in life, it seems that those roles carry on with you for the rest of your life. And if you're not performing those roles, then you shouldn't be in community with other people, or you shouldn't be around others in general, because you don't know how to perform your role well. It's very dangerous, because for those who are in the arts, they can tell you that your role, that the roles that you play have a huge effect, a huge impact in your life. It's very difficult at times to leave the roles that you've done outside of your personal life, because when you take on those roles, you're becoming that person. You're thinking with a sixth sense at that point. You're trying to embody that character to the best of your ability. You start thinking like that character. So especially if you're spending hours upon hours studying the character or studying the role, and you now perform the role, it will take so much time for you to pull yourself out of it and just be yourself. Sometimes certain actors say that, oh, when I played a certain role, I saw myself more angry at the world. I saw myself being someone that I was not. But in the real world, you don't get to really say that, oh, the role as a friend that I was towards this person was so much for me, without there being any condemnation for it. It just signals to the other person that you don't really care, or that you don't really take them seriously, because you're not willing to play the role that you're meant to play at a specific point in time, right? And it's just we don't really give each other grace to just be, without there being some kind of there's something wrong with you, or fingers pointing at you. And I would say for the last 6-7 years of my life, I've been trying to find myself and redefine myself. But obviously along the way, there's certain responsibilities and there's certain roles I have to play for other people, because if you're going to have people in your life, there's a certain way that you serve them, right? So I've always had to put myself to the side. And anytime I get to a point where it's okay, I'm actually trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like, things I want in my life and things I don't want in my life, it can come off as selfish. And in being selfish, you can hurt other people. And no one wants to hurt anyone, right? So you end up doing things that harm you, right? And you just, in this life, you have to find a balance between being selfish, choosing yourself, and still having other people around you and you're not hurting them. And I'm glad I made certain decisions in my life where I'm actually choosing myself and I am being selfish, but it still comes with a cost. But it's better for me to pay that cost of like choosing myself and doing things my own way than to put myself in a situation where I'm choosing that other person and I'm breaking myself more. You know, the consequences are different, but one consequence serves me better than the other, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I'm just in a space where I don't want to perform anymore. So it it puts me in a space where I just don't hang out with friends as much. I don't hang out with family as much. I don't speak to people as much, and it can be very negative. It can negatively impact my mental health because it's like you need community, you need to be around people, but how can you serve your community and serve others around you or just be there for others or be present when your cup is empty, when you're still trying to figure out what exactly you're trying to do, who exactly you are. Like, how can you do that? And it's a question that, like, now I'm looking at more. Who am I? Like, outside of all these roles that I'm supposed to play. Being someone who's raised in a Nigerian household and constantly being around other Africans and everything like that, there are a lot of traditions that are very heavy weighing on women that like once they are a sister, a mother, a wife, like there's so much you have to sacrifice and people only tend to choose you to be in their lives when you're playing a specific role for them. At times I feel like, okay, maybe I'm letting like family down or I'm letting, my friends down or possible partner or my child down if I am putting myself first, but I don't want to feel like I can't be the person they want me to be. I don't want to feel like that, but it's like I can't. I can't constantly be that person who's always sacrificing my life just to have other people around me. Like I can't constantly put my dreams and my goals. Actually, I can't put to the side the things that I want to do just in the name of being in a specific role and having these people in my life. Maybe when I get older, I might be able to make certain sacrifices out of love. But right now, I'm not in that space. There's so many questions I'm confronted with in trying to figure out who I am and having to serve someone else or be in a position where I have to play a role that I know that I'll be underperforming in. It just doesn't make sense to me right now. It doesn't make sense in general. I think something that as a firstborn I'm trying to understand is that sacrifice is needed in life, but at the same time, at what cost? Like, is it worth it? Like, do I have to do it? Is there another way around it? So, in choosing my friends, in choosing the family I want around me, and even when it comes to like, possibly having a future partner or something like that, I'm being very intentional with people who are allowing me to be myself and don't expect me to sacrifice myself because that's what it looks like the role of a woman is. Constantly sacrificing yourself in order to seek approval from others and to seem worthy, you know? Especially with talks nowadays where people start to talk about marriage and relationship more and the kinds of things that they're enduring. It's like the more you're able to submit to the humiliation ritual of being a wife, the more of a wife you are than other wives. Like, it's like, at what cost? At what cost, So, with that layered understanding of like roles, I don't want to be in a space where someone just sees me as a placeholder or a role taker, but they actually see me for me. I think in deconstructing my relationship with my parents, especially with my mom, like understanding who she is as a human being rather than her role as my mom really helped me humanize her as a person and also my dad as well. But I think because my mom is like a firstborn and I'm third generation firstborn, like a lot of her struggles and a lot of her pain, a lot of the things that she went through, I understand because there was roles that she had to play and she couldn't just put them to the side the way I am now. I have the luxury of actually being like, you know what, I choose this or I don't choose that. But she didn't really have that space to do that because it was a different time back then, right? So I think for me, I'm understanding the fact that like I'm worthy of being around others. I'm worthy of like experimenting and learning myself without having to play a role. Like whoever I am on the inside is enough. I don't have to continuously be in a space of becoming. I am. And that's okay. My life is constantly evolving. I'm constantly growing. But I don't want to be so hung up on this idea that I have to become in order to be. No. Because everything that I'm meant to be is already inside of me. It's just going to reveal itself in due time. So I think in this space of understanding who I am, I'm allowing myself to show up however I need to whenever the time comes. Rather than being so hung up on like, how can I be a better friend or how can I be a better mother? How can it puts so much pressure on you to be a specific way rather than just being. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, I think me being authentically myself towards any situation, whether it comes to family, friends, like possible children in the future, possible husband in the future, like, or just my community in general, me choosing myself and me being honest and authentically myself would be better rather than just playing a role. Because if you're just focused on like playing a role to other people, you lose sight of yourself. And that's basically what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't want to lose myself to being someone to somebody else. So yeah, like I'm just allowing myself to show up as much as I can and being honest and transparent. I remember there's something that my friend told me, a really good friend of mine told me, like, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he was talking about his journey, in like, exploring things romantically with someone and everything. And I was really happy for him, because I've known him for so long. And he's getting this experience, he's getting this chance, and he's plunging himself into it. And it's so exciting to see your friends like happy and in love. And he was telling me, like, there's a difference between honesty and transparency. Honesty is when you are asked certain things, right? And you are telling the truth. Whereas for transparency, no one has to ask you. You're just saying it. You're not really bothered about like how the person's going to take it. You're just saying it. But because that person is giving you a space to be open and vulnerable with them, it's easier for you to be transparent, right? Because honesty, it's like you don't pick and choose, but it's like if you don't allude to the question, or like if you don't, like, you're not in a position where that question would come up, you can avoid saying the truth. But like if you are in a space where you feel safe enough, or like, you're just willing to open up like that, you give the whole truth and nothing but the truth because you feel safe, and that's how I want to go about my journey in figuring out myself. I think I'll be figuring out myself for the rest of my life. But I think I just want to be in a space where I enjoy what I do and I love what I do, and not feel like I have to perform it in order for me to be good at it. So I think that's why, like, I decided to have this conversation with y'all, because as a content creator, at times it feels as though that unless I'm wearing makeup, unless I have an amazing camera, unless I have a great backdrop, or my background looks great, I can't make a video, especially on YouTube. Like, it's different if it's like TikTok, you can make a video anywhere and everywhere. But like, even still, like, the quality of TikToks nowadays are improving or changing and everything like that, right? And the videos that get the most views nowadays, or where they're able to build an audience, are the videos where it's like, oh, like, the quality has to be like top tier, the editing has to be top tier, everything has to be so amazing. And it's just like, I don't want to do that all the time. Of course, like if I have the energy, I have the space, if I have the time, all of that stuff, like sure, I'll go ahead and do that. But it's like, if not, sometimes I just want to talk to the camera and just connect with my people, my audience, my supporters. I remember that's how I started off. And I said I want to get back to that point where it's like I can just talk and I can just share my ideas and share my thoughts. Of course, yes, like the quality is better. Of course, I'm able to articulate how I feel better than when I was making videos when I was 19. I just want to give myself the allowance to just be. And however I choose to show up is okay. And as long as I'm showing up, that's all that matters. That's all that counts at the end of the day. Because it's one thing for you to always be prim and proper and always do things the right way every single time, right? But there's no real consistency in that because eventually you're going to get tired. Eventually you're going to be burnt out. Eventually there are going to be days where you don't want to be in front of a camera, and sometimes that will turn into weeks and that will turn into months because it's like, oh, I'm just not in the right headspace, or I just don't want to put on makeup, or I just don't want to put on fancy clothes, or I just don't want to put on my lights and everything. Like, I don't have to do all of that. I am giving myself permission to just do whatever. Because I know that, like, what matters is what I'm saying and how I'm conveying my message, not necessarily all the glitz and glam. I know they do help. I know that it encourages people to see my videos more because it looks nicer. She's got on makeup, she's got her hair done, it looks really fancy in the back, she got a clickbaity title, of course. But it's just like, if I don't won't you watch the video? Oh, so you won't. Okay, so then it wasn't meant for you in the first place. Like, like that's just what it is. Like, it wasn't meant for you in the first place if all you care about is like all of the extra stuff. The extra stuff help, but it's not necessary. You ain't eating a burger because of all the lettuce and tomatoes and the onions. You're eating it because of the meat inside. That's why you eating it. So if you could go without the extra stuff, like, go without it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the extra stuff. The extra stuff is nice. Like, I like the extra stuff, but it's like, I want the meat, Now, I'm not getting on people who like aesthetics. I'm just saying that, like, I want to build a community of people who enjoy listening to what I have to say, who like actually can relate to me on a deeper level on their own personal journey in, figuring out themselves or learning the world around them, or just in general, just wanting to listen. Like, those are the kind of people I want watching my videos. If you want to watch for aesthetics, fine, but like, there's going to be certain videos that are not for aesthetics. There are going to be certain videos where I'm not putting like my 100% all in terms of like the editing and everything like that. Sometimes I just want to talk, and that should be okay, so, because at the end of the day, I'm a human being. Like, yes, I may put on many hats and many roles, but most of the times I don't want to. And I don't want to be in spaces where I constantly have to play a role and I constantly have to like do. Like, sometimes I just want to be. So yeah, that's the number one thing I am trying to do moving forward with my content, is just showing up, allowing myself to get out of bed and like, shower and brush my teeth and like get something to eat and like make content and just do what I love doing. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do with my pursuit of like, trying to find another job and, trying to like use all my gifts and see which one works for me, and like just learning myself. Like, it gets harder every day when I just sit on my bed and like not do anything because I'm tired and I'm exhausted of just getting out of bed. Don't get me wrong, I do bed rot, but I heard some crazy stories, like people finding like silverfish in their belly button, seeing mice in their whoa. Like, don't get me wrong, we be messy, but we're not that messy. Like, come on, like, give me some credit now. Like, but at the end of the day, everyone's journey in like getting up is completely different. And with this video, I'm choosing to get up and just doing things differently. I think this is a step in me taking charge of having better mental health too, because it's really easy to wear these wear these hats and have these roles, especially when you're trying to escape and you're trying to ignore your own feelings. But when you now sit down with yourself and you're not playing these roles anymore, and you're not wearing these hats, and you're actually tired and you're actually exhausted, and you want to figure out why, you're now in a place of like, okay, so who am I? What's going on? What do I like? What do I not like? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be? Am I enough? Am I okay with just being? And if so, how do I do better in just being and allowing things to just flow? And if I'm not okay with just being, why is that? Is there a certain expectation I've, taken from the time I was young to, I guess, overcompensate for, feeling less than? Is there certain things that, happened when I was, in my teen years that caused me to overcompensate all the time? All those little things. But anywho, that is how I'm feeling today. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. And let me know, what is your favorite drink? I don't think I asked that. Or maybe I have and I don't remember. But anyways, what's your favorite soda? Yeah, okay. Mountain Dew. I don't care if it's Area 51 juice. I love it. I actually don't like root beer. I realized it's like candy. It's really sweet. Yeah, grape soda, obviously. I like cream soda. I love Orange Crush. But number one, Mountain Dew. Let me know what yours is down below. And thank you guys so much for watching once again. This is Shalisco signing out of this video. And remember, God made you special and he loves you very much. And you can do anything you set your mind to. With Christ, of course. All right, y'all. Peace.
You know what I'm talking about? Bring it back.